the big thing, Josh, is just what, and I know we've talked about it in here before, which is, I mean, ultimately, the things that I've really got to be able to make sure are the things that I can control. And what I try to make sure I do a good job of is doing that with our players. And the message that we have to them. I believe in our football team. I believe in these young men that are playing for us, certainly, and I do. I think that we've got to go to work, and we've got to get better. And as long as we continue to work and continue to get better at what we're doing, then that's where we go. And those are the things that, as we talked about before, I can control those things. The external pieces, I don't know how much I really can.
Did you guys go back to basics? Did you just tweak things? What did you do during that past week to address what's been going on?
Well, I think we had a good 3 days of practice. We were able to get started on Wednesday, and then we went Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week, and tried to let, in particular, the guys who were on our travel team that had been back and forth and came back with us here, trying to let them kind of get home this past weekend. But we tried to make sure that we were going back and working on fundamentals first and foremost, and focusing on that, and trying to be able to make sure that we were really, really in all four things that we're doing, from a fundamental standpoint, a scheme standpoint, execution. Those are all the things that we're trying to get to, and if we can improve in those areas, and we'll have a better performance than what we had the other day. We don't have any excuses for what we had the other day. I'm as upset and ticked off as I can possibly be about it, and ultimately that's me. I've got to do a better job of getting our football team ready to play. We've got players that I believe in, and I know what they're capable of, and we've got to do a better job. And now starting with me of being able to make sure that we can get out in front of those things and put a better performance out.
It's been a while.
Coach, considering how the offense has gone these first two games of the season, I know that you picked Shy to be the starter at the beginning of the season. Are you going to stick with him, or do you give LeBaron a chance maybe the second half of some games?
Shy will certainly be our starter going into the next week, and if we wind up playing another quarterback, we'll have different reasons, and it could be either Shy, or LeBaron, or it could wind up being Cato as well. A lot of it just depends on what the situation is. I do think that Shy has, certainly won the job over a long period of time, and we feel like Shy is our best quarterback. So he's a guy that we've played and we've been able to move with. And if we wind up playing another guy, we'll have different reasons of being able to do that. But a lot of whoever, I guess, the other person would be that you played would really kind of depend on what situation or what part of a ball game they were coming into.
Coach, I remember last year, I think it was like the first Gatto Lifestyle documentary, you told your team that you wanted them to be the toughest, mentally toughest team in America. But against New Hampshire, it just seemed like once New Hampshire got 15-0, it just seemed like the team, like Georgia Southern was just out of it. They didn't feel like they were going to come back at all. So, do you feel like your team is mentally strong enough right now?
I believe that we have a good football team, and I believe in our football team. And I'll say that about our players over and over and over again. We need to continue to work with the guys that we do. We've got to continue to work on mental toughness and physical toughness. There's no question about that. We've got to work on winning games. Do I think that those are pieces that make you a better football team? Yeah, I do. And so do most people in our profession. But we've got to continue to work on those things. I believe in our football team. I believe in this group of young men, and I'll stand by them as long as I possibly can, I promise you. But are there things we need to improve? Yeah, we do.
With Shy, how's he been at practice this bye week, and overall how's the team attack practice this week?
I think that we had a really good 3 practices. I'm proud of our guys for what they were able to do. And we were able to go, like I said earlier, get out there on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Had 3 good days, 3 good practices. I thought they worked their tail off, had good energy, and had some new things that we were putting in, really in all 3 phases. And I thought they did a really good job of being able to handle that and then go out there and trying to practice at the tempo and the type of execution that we need to.
Coach, you got a lot of young guys. You've mentioned that before. There's not much seniors. You lost a lot of leaders. We've kind of brought this up before. A lot of these guys only know the last couple years. I mean, they weren't there maybe for the bowl game, for the victory, for that season. Is it important for the guys that were to maybe I don't know, get in their faces, but just remind them, or do you feel like they already know, this is Georgia Southern, these are games we should be winning?
They certainly know that. I think that, when any of those guys, and particularly the ones that we've been recruiting over the last 2 years, and we're playing a lot of guys that I recruited, and so in that, yes, I think that there is a big piece of leadership that does need to come from a lot of the older guys and be able to talk about all the things that are important here at Georgia Southern with history and tradition and winning and all those things. But do I think they know that? Yeah, I do. I think they know, and they certainly heard it from me, of what our expectation is. And they certainly know that, and we're trying to set that bar each and every day. And again, I think that is one of the things that we continue to communicate with our football team about, which is improvement, and for us to be where we want to be, we're going to have to be a team that is not only just led by coaches, but led by players as well. Those are the best football teams I've been around, are the ones that are player-led, and the ones that the coaches have kind of put the pieces in place to be able to let them lead.
Coach, what's the confidence level with the offense? Obviously, after 2 games, struggled to put some points on the board. It's a new offense. It's a new attack. Do you feel like the guys are still confident in what you're trying to do?
I think they are, but, again, we hadn't scored very many points, so I'm sure that they have their doubts and their questions. I'd be lying to you if I didn't think that. But I think that, what you see and what we're able to point out is pieces in the film whenever we take a look, and you're able to see guys and places where we should be able to make plays, and we're really not. Whether it's somebody, and it's kind of all across the board. It's not one position. It's not one individual. It kind of winds up being one guy on this play, and it may have been for the last half a second. Maybe we need to finish longer. Maybe we need to make sure the guy stays on the ground longer. Whatever it winds up being, there are little things in there that I think if we can clean those pieces up from an execution standpoint, that our confidence is going to be able to get a lot greater.
Coach, Brian Cook comes here from Georgia Tech, where he's under center is the way their offense runs. Mm-hmm. He came here. Did you guys have him, or did you talk to him about, we want to stay in the shotgun? Did you allow him to say, we want to go under center, and you said no? Or how did that communication go about where the offense would go?
Well, I think y'all asked Brian that question 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly. But Brian and I talked extensively. If you go all the way back, Brian and I have known each other, I guess, for year and a half, maybe a little bit longer than that now, I guess, from the first time I went through and interviewed him, and then from last year's conversations when we got here was really about, what was in the locker room and what players were going to fit the best into what scheme. Have we talked about being up under center? Only about 10 times a week. We've gone through those conversations plenty of times. But the challenge with that really is just that offense. While it's something that I have a great admiration for and something I do believe in, to be able to say that after 2 weeks we're just going to go install that, that would be a real challenge in my opinion, because that offense is the most detail-oriented offense and the most fundamental-oriented offense that you could possibly be in. Now, if you were able to do that with a group that have been doing it for a while or something like that, but we don't have a whole lot of guys that are still left on in our program from Coach Monken, so we really don't have those pieces in place right now. We haven't recruited to that kind of offense over, I guess, now 4 different recruiting cycles. So right now we are in the gun.
Going back off what Josh asked just a minute ago, from a recruiting standpoint, it would seem like it'd be a challenge to recruit the personnel that you need for an under center triple option offense when the recruit can't really see that going on right now with the team. They look at the team and it's out of the gun. I guess so. What do you think that would be a challenge you're gonna have to overcome?
We would have to make that decision, I guess, first. Like I said, right now we're a gun option football team, and those are the guys we're recruiting for, and those are the guys we're planning on winning with.
Is it harder to go from under center to the shotgun, or the shotgun to under center? Because Fritz came in, they had success going to the shotgun. I'm just curious.
I would think that it would be a lot more difficult to go from the gun to under center than it is from under center to the gun.
Coach, going to Indiana, a Big Ten team and a Big Ten environment, do you feel like having the experience at Auburn first week of the year will maybe help guys kind of settle down into a bigger environment, maybe not be as wide-eyed as they might have been at Jordan-Hare?
Well, the young guys, all the freshmen that we have, I think, are certainly wide-eyed whenever it came to being in that place and opening up. So I certainly think that it'll help with those guys. But for the older guys, again, we've been in a lot of different environments and over the last 2 years, and over the course of some of these older guys, the last 3 or 4 years, I think they know what they're walking into, what kind of environment it's going to be. It's going to be a neat place to play, and we're excited about going up there and having a chance to again go prepare with a purpose, go win a football game.